no blue is not enough.
Good afternoon, everyone. So for today, we will be discussing about analogy. The video that we are to create would be a video for grade 7 public school students of Makati City. However, for those who are joining the session, you can also take advantage of this session because I know for a fact that you can learn from discussing analogy. Okay? So if ever you have suggestions or questions or comments, throughout the lesson, you can actually raise your hands or you can just actually button, okay? And I welcome such. So I will be flashing my screen about the module that I write for analogy. So what is analogy and what about analogy would be our topic for today's session. Okay, so I'll share my screen by now. Okay, so Joffrey and friends, can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so it seems to be like really different by now because the session that we're having is like straight English. Okay, so English quarter one, module one, analogy. Why module? As you all know, with this pandemic, all students are studying at their respective homes, and modules are being created by the Department of Education so that students would not really have the need to really purchase a gadget for one because they can have it printed by their local officials. Okay, so English quarter one module one analogy. So yan. This module was written by me and was edited by Ma'am Eden Samadan and Ma'am Ethel Montoya. Ma'am Ethel Montoya is my department head at Bangkal High School. Okay, so English quarter one module one analogy. Okay, so you see the introductory message. We'll go past that. I mean, we'll pass that. Okay. Yan, here. What I need to know. Oh yeah, we really need to know about this. Okay. This module was designed and written with you in mind. It is here to help you make an analogy. Making an analogy allows you to see the connections of the things you already know and the things you are to learn. This makes your understanding richer and your learning more meaningful. Making an analogy allows you as well to widen your vocabulary, which helps you to better comprehend texts as you read. The scope of this module permits it to be used in many different learning situations. The language used recognizes the diverse vocabulary level of students. The lessons are arranged to follow the standard sequence of the course. However, the order in which you read them can be changed to correspond with the textbook you are now using. After going through this module or after going through our session for now, you are expected to first determine the meanings of new words through the use of analogies, supply other words or expressions that complete an analogy, and create analogies based on an identified relationship. Okay. So we'll have this one first, okay? Write the letter of the word that best fits the blank space for each item. First one. Okay, who would like to answer this one? When you say flow, it is being related to the river. Stagnant may be related to what? Who would like to answer? People, why are you hiding your cameras? Diba? It's your time to shine by now. Joffrey, would you like to share your answer to this? If the
Um,
river flows, what becomes stagnant in this among these options?
the pool, C.
Pool?
Yes. Letter C.
Okay, yes. Uh, Pool is indeed stagnant. Okay, when you say stagnant, the water is not moving. Good. Okay, we'll have pool then. If you have other thoughts about the answers of your classmates who are joining the session by now, please raise your hand as well. I mean, yeah, you can butt in and speak something about it. Okay, ornithologist is uh, is an occupation or a profession responsible for check for birds. How about archaeologists? What are they responsible for? People. Oh, Leo, we will have the we will have it in rotation. Archaeologists are responsible for archaeologists or an archaeologist is responsible for what?
I think letter B or letter B.
Letter B, archaeology. Leo, why are you not showing yourself to the screen? Right? Or you're not using your camera? Okay. An archaeologist is responsible for archaeology. But what is archaeology? So that we also know. Wait, we'll try to see. Archaeology is the study of the human past using the material remains. It's the study of human activity through the recovery and analysis of material culture. Okay, so it's good for us to find that out. How about architect? An architect is responsible for a building, while a sculptor is responsible for what? April, Carlene, Ate. Our session may really be different by now because we're speaking in English, right, Joffrey? Okay, we used to speak in Tagalog in our other sessions. But let me call April Carlin Ate for number 3. If an architect is responsible for a building, a sculptor is responsible for what?
A statue.
A statue. Very good. It's the one that they are doing. So this is like how analogy goes. You need to look at the relationship of the first pair and apply that to the relationship of the following pair. So if an architect makes a building or is responsible for a building, a sculptor is responsible for a statue. Okay. Joffrey, which do you think is easier in terms of what language to use in teaching, English or Filipino?
I can go with both, but
Okay. But which do you
Tagalog,
think is
Filipino
like,
is easier.
yeah, okay. But because the session is like recorded for for the module, so we'll speak in English. Okay, we'll try to speak in English. Let's go with number 4. If a fish, what is the relationship of fish and fin? Like, wait, let's call other people. Julie, Corinne, Makasa. What's the relationship of fish and fin? Julie, are you there? Okay, let's call Neriza. Neriza Villaos. What's the relationship of fish and fin? Okay, they seem to be like quiet. Joffrey, what's the relationship of fish and fin?
The fin is a body part of a fish.
Okay, fin is a part of a fish. So, which among these options relate to a part of a bird? Joffrey.
The wing.
Oh, wait.
T.
Because Julie is like sending a message in the chat box. Okay, I understand, Julie. So, wing is part of a bird. Very good. Let's go to number 5. Okay, that's good. A dog barks. So, that's the activity of the dog. While a cat, what is the activity of the cat among these options?
Letter B please.
Letter
Meow.
B, meow. Very good. So, meow is an onomatopoeic word, right? When you say that a word is onomatopoeic, it means to say that when you read it, you also produce its sounds. It resembles the sound it refers to. That's onomatopoeic, okay? Or onomatopoeia. So, melt refers to liquid. So, what is the relationship of melt and liquid? When something melts, it turns into liquid, right? So when something gets frozen, it becomes what? Or it relates to what? People? Joffrey.
It becomes ice.
Oh, very good. Okay. If you have other answers for the other people in the chat room, please do let us know. Okay. Clock refers to time. If clock, what is the relationship of clock and time? So you can check the time through the clock. So applying that relationship with thermometer, what should be the pair? What should be the word that we should pair with thermometer?
The temperature.
Very, very good. Be temperature, or you can just answer in random. Ah. Okay, Ian Gonzon is joining the room. Okay, so very good. We can check temperature through thermometer or through the use of a thermometer. Number 8, let's go. If Muslims are going to a masjid, that's their temple. But actually, when I was in Malaysia, I remember, because there was a time that I was going to a certain masjid in Kuala Lumpur, and then one woman in the train said where asked me where I would go, and then I said to a temple of a Muslim, and then she said, it should be masjid. She doesn't want it to be called. She didn't want it to be called temple. She wanted it be called masjid. So Muslims go to the masjid for them to worship or to attend their church meeting or gathering. So six, where do six go? Six are people who are members of Sikhism. Okay, so where do they go then? Six. Joffrey. Joffrey seems to be like really a very knowledgeable student. So where do you think six go?
uh,
I know you would learn something from this session. Like this, where do six go?
I do not certainly know where they go, but if I have to take a guess, it would be A.
Very good. Gurdwara. So Gurdwara is what you call the temple for the sick people. Okay, are we good about it? I actually attended to not really attended. I visited a Gurdwara in Johor Bahru in Malaysia. You can go there from Singapore. Ride you can just ride a bus from Singapore. I think it's like 3 hours from the Red Line station. If ever you'll be able to go to Singapore, and then you'll be able to cross to Malaysia and get to Johor Bahru. In Johor Bahru, in Malaysia, it's like 6 hours from Kuala Lumpur, the Twin Tower in Kuala Lumpur. There's a Gurdwara. Do you know there are Gurdwaras also here in Manila and in the Philippines? Do you know these people usually have their turban in their head? Those people who are going to this temple or to Gurdwaras. And do you know, Joffrey and the other students, if you don't have food to eat, you don't have a place to sleep, you can go to a Gurdwara for you to eat the food and for you to take a rest. And there's no payment for you to do that. Do you know that? That's just a fact that I would like to share. But because the idea of schism is about generosity and about helping those people who are weak or who do not have money. But by the time that you get to have resources, by the time you get to have money, it's about the time to pay back. So that's one of the good things that I learned about Sikhism. Okay, really cool, right? Right, Joffrey. Okay,
Yes.
okay. Let's go to the next number. A doctor. What does a doctor do with a patient? Let's call other people. Ayan. Who can we call Jesse Hoxon? I'm afraid this might be my professor though. Ian, Jesse Hoxon. What does a doctor do to a patient? Dave, what does a doctor do? What does a doctor do to the patient?
A doctor is consulted by a patient
Okay,
or something like that.
very good. A doctor is being consulted by a patient. Okay, so applying that relationship with the following pair, lawyer and accused. Oh, there's already an answer here. This should be an under. This should be underlined. Okay, there should be an editing to be made. I don't know if they will be able to edit that. Okay, but at least we now found out. Okay, thank you for that, Dave Russell. So, what do you think if our session is like everyone speaks in English? It's like a bit. Is it like? Isn't it like a bit awkward, Joffrey? Okay.
It's fine for me to speak English, but it's since we speak Tagalog, Filipino most of the time, so it's a bit of adjustment.
Okay. Because in our other sessions, for those who are watching us, as we upload this or as this video gets available for the public school students of Makati, we used to have sessions where I teach English in Tagalog. So I think this is the first time that we're having a session where I speak in pure and straight English with students as well. Okay. So yeah. So you can watch the other videos I promote. Okay. Let's go to the next number. So what is the relationship of soap and wash? So you use the soap to wash your hands, while you use the broom to what? To, you can answer,
Sweep.
Okay, to sweep the floor. Very good. Sweep would be the answer. You need to apply the relationship of the first pair to the following pair. That's basically how you answer a set or a pair of an analogy. Okay, let's go to number 11. Um, Wax, grease, milk, what? What is the relationship of wax and grease? I think it's like the other term. Like, right? If it's greasy, there's wax to it. So wax is the other term of grease. Milk is like the other term, or it relates to what word here? What is G people? GHEE. GHEE refers to a class of clarified butter that originated in ancient India. It's commonly used in cuisine of the Indian subcontinent. So, what do you think is the answer here? While a
Curd.
curd, what? Curd is a dairy product obtained by coagulating milk in a process called curdling. So, who answered that a while ago? Who answered a while ago? Was it Dave? Dave, what's your answer?
Curd, sir.
Curd? Okay, curd. Very good. So, yeah. So, yes, milk relates to curd. Okay, thank you for that. Okay, let's go to the next part. Okay, bread is something you get from the bakery, while brick is something that you get from where? Where do we get the brick, people? Who would like to answer that one? What is kiln? Kiln is what? Kiln is this one. An oven, furnace, or heated enclosure used for processing a substance by burning, firing, or drying. Ah, here. A kiln is a special kind of oven for firing things like pottery and bricks. Okay. So that being said, a brick comes from a kiln. Are we clear with that? Cool, right? Okay. Do you understand, people? Okay. A kiln, when you search on Google, a kiln is like a furnace, a place where the brick is taken from. Okay. We're good with that. Okay. Okay. So the chef works in a restaurant while a druggist works where? What is a druggist? Right? So now these students are becoming aware of how a class in English looks like if I am teaching in English, right, Joffrey and friends? So druggist. A druggist, people, is a pharmacist or retailer of medicinal drugs. So if a chef works in a restaurant, a druggist works where? Yeah, it was mentioned a while
Pharmacy.
ago. Pharmacy. Okay, very good. Let's go to the next part. Jade is refers to color green. The color of jade is green. While the color of garnet is what color is garnet then? Garnet is color red. Do you
Red.
know what? What's your answer? Who answered, people?
Red, sir.
Red, very good. That's the color of garnet. Okay? Restaurant gives us a menu, or we can find the menu from a restaurant, while we can find a catalog from a library. What is a catalog? There are two kinds of catalog. The card catalog, that is one that you can see inside the book, where you put in your information if you will borrow the book or if you will use the book. While the other kind of catalog is one you access through the OPAC. What does OPAC mean, Joffrey? It's also included in examinations. What does OPAC mean?
I do not know, sir, but I think it's a computer mediated catalog.
Very good. OPAC also is also or also appears in examinations. And OPAC means online public access catalog. Okay? Yeah. So let's go with lesson 1, analogy. In this module, you would have an opportunity to look at the relationship of words. This skill would help you to better comprehend statements that would feature a similar relationship, which may help you to see a connection between the things you already know as well as the things that you are to learn. So making connections of the things you already know and the things that you're learning if you know about analogy. Okay, so it makes your understanding about different topics and different subjects deeper. So here, let's answer this one. I know this may be challenging for all of you, okay? But yeah, I made this one. So number 2, so the directions, we need to use the clues below to fill in the crossword puzzle with the correct terms. Number 2, going down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 characters for this refers to one that receive OMG. We cannot see it, but we can adjust it. Here, you see it now. There refers to one that receives an act.
Object.
Object.
Okay, very good. OBJECT. Okay, it made me think though. I was the one who made it, but I forgot. Okay, very good. Object. OBJECT. Good. Down as well. Refers to an event. 4, 5, 6. Refers to an event. Pass. We can pass and then later we can answer. Refers to an event. You want to skip? Skip, right? Okay. 5. Similar relationship. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Similar relationship. Maybe synonyms. Or no? What would be similar relationships, people? SYNONYMS. We'll find out, okay? Refers a division of a whole. Division of a whole.
Part?
7 dot. Part, PART. D. Follows a cause. Effect. Cause and effect, right? EFFECT. 10. Refers to a purpose. Number 10 down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Refers to a purpose. Later, we'll be able to answer. Across.
Objective.
Objective OBJECTIV. It's not enough. Okay. Where something can be found. Number 1, across. Okay. Number 3, doer of an action. Performer, maybe. PERFOME. PERFOMER. Or performers. So just to fit in. But later we'll be able to find out the answer. Okay? We're just like going through it. Number 9, opposite relationship. Maybe antonyms. ANTONYMS. Do you have other
Contrast.
answers? Where?
Contrast.
Contrast where?
9, sir. Number 9.
Number 9. Yes, contrast or antonyms. Maybe contrast is the answer. More of like the answer. Okay. We're good with that, but we will find out the answers about this as we go through the session. Okay? Here. What's new? Observe the first 2 pictures. What is this? This is rain, right? Or raining. And this is umbrella. Try to understand how they are related. So, how are they related? Excuse me. So, how are they related, the first 2 images? Dave,
An
yeah.
umbrella.
Who's
Is
that?
used
The with the
as-
beautiful voice.
April po.
Okay, go. What's the relationship of the 2 images or pictures?
An umbrella is used when it's raining.
Okay, very good. We use an umbrella when it's raining, so that's the relationship. So, what do you think should be the picture for the second pair?
Sunglasses.
Okay, glasses, very good. So, glasses, we use it if it's sunny. Okay? That's why in the Philippines, we get to be really, really puzzled if there are people, if it's dark and there are people, and indoor, and there are people who are wearing glasses, right? But there are many functions of wearing glasses, not only with protecting our eyes from the sun. Okay, so that may be their reason why. Okay, number 2. I get to be really particular with my English, sorry. So, a chicken lays egg, while a cow. So, what should be the picture that we should have for a cow? People.
Milk.
The milk.
Okay, very good. A cow produces milk. No, not this one. This one. Because this one is, I think, juice. But its logo is like pizza. I don't know. Okay, maybe lemon. I don't know. Okay, let's go to the next number. A monkey eats a banana, while an elephant What? People. What does an elephant eat among the options?
Plants.
Actually, actually, wait. We need to be sure about it. Elephant eats mango. Yeah. Do you know that an elephant eats fruits? And family of elephants, the whole family of elephants comes to eat the wild mango. Okay. So that's a good thing to find out. Okay? Good. So it's mango for the elephant. O di ba? Ay, sorry, we should speak in English. Okay. Joffrey, it's the mango that an elephant eats. Because it's not usual within our side to see what an elephant eats, diba? Let's go to the next number. We should not use that word. Okay, we should speak in English. Let's go with number 4. What is the relationship of board and chalk? We use the chalk to write on the board. But here, what do we use to write in a notebook?
The
Pencil.
pencil.
The pencil. Very good. We use the pencil to write in a notebook, right? Analogy is like an easy topic for some, diba? But it's not. But it's not really that easy. But if we do not know what an analogy is, okay? Here, this is a thread, people. A thread, we get it from a sheep, right? We get the thread from the sheep. We just need to make sure. Okay. Wool comes. Okay. We get the wool from the sheep. Okay. Okay. That's good to know. We get the wool from the sheep. So what do we? This one. What do you think is the one inside the bottle?
Honey.
Honey. We get it
The bee.
from the honeybee, not from the butterfly, not from the caterpillar, not from the grasshopper, not from the caterpillar, not from the grasshopper. So these are the guide questions. Ayan. I need your mind or your brains for this. Number 1, what helped or gave you an idea about finding what pictures relate to each item above? Again, what helped or gave you an idea about finding the picture that you should have for the pair? What gave you the idea that this is the answer, this is not the answer? Joffrey.
Um, most what helped me get the answer was relating pictures to real life. So whichever answer was the most appropriate for the analogy, that is what I should answer.
Okay, so looking basically at the relationship or relating it with reality as what Joffrey mentioned. Like if in reality, for example, for item number 5, we get the honey from the bees because that's what we observe in reality. So we know that the wool comes from the sheep. But it's not really usual within the Philippine context for us to see that. But number 4 would really be evident on our end. We know that chalks are being used for a blackboard, and so we know that a pencil is used for writing in a notebook. So we look at the relationship to find out the picture that is appropriate for the set of analogy. Okay, number 2, have you noticed a similarity on the pattern with regard to how you identified the answer for each item? Like, what do you do on all the items for number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, and number 5 that you think would help one to answer or to find out the picture for a set of an analogy? Dave, what do you think is the answer to that? Like, what's the common pattern that you observe as you answer different items under analogy?
The items, sir, that were given are usually seen in pairs in real life or something like that. For example, sir, the chalk.
Mm-hmm.
Chalk usually comes with the blackboard, as I personally see it in real life, sir, and as well as pencil when it usually comes with a notebook
Okay, very
when
good.
we see it in real life.
Very good. You basically relate it with what you observe in reality, which usually goes together. And you look at that relationship and you apply that relationship as you look for the answer. Thank you for that, Dave. And last question for the guide questions. How do you think knowing how to answer these items helped you in making connections with things you already know? again, how do you think knowing how to answer these items helps you in making connections with things you already know? Like for example, there are things you already know in your there are things you already know, but knowing about analogy, what do you think how do you think it helps you? Like for example, you already know about things, but analogy would allow you to look at the relationship of things. How do you think that allows you to have a deeper understanding of things you already know? What's your do you understand the question? Yeah. Do you
Yes,
guys
sir.
okay. So you know how an English class runs like, right? So that's this is like a common question in an English class. Like for example, guys, you know things in your life. Now, an analogy allows you to look at the relationship of these things, the things you already know, and the things that you are learning, or the things that are coming on your way. So, how do you think this is helpful for you on your end?
It helps us, sir, in figuring out patterns if we ever encounter them or
Eh,
something.
very good. And look how do you think being capable of looking at the patterns around the things that we already know and the things we are to learn helps you as a person?
I
Personally,
have an
sir,
idea.
yes,
Sige,
sir.
sige.
I'll go.
I have an idea, which is the concept of analogy can be used to explain deeper or more abstract things. So instead of directly explaining one thing, you could use an analogy to simplify the process so people listening to you will understand it.
Okay, I get the point of Jovi. It seems to be like, for example, there's a pair of relationship, there's a particular relationship for a particular pair. Now, if you try to relate that with another pair, you get to understand it easier, knowing the counterparts. As an English teacher, you should really, really be fast in catching the thoughts of students when they share an answer. Right, Joffrey? Did I get it right? Okay.
Yes,
How,
sir.
how about Dave? You were saying something a while ago.
Yes, sir. The thing I want to say earlier is basically the same thing as what Jeffrey said. We can use analogies in we can apply analogies and pattern finding in learning new things or trying to teach other people, since there are some things that have similar relationships which can help us or other people in figuring out what something new is or is about.
Okay. So we get to have a so basically what I got from Dave from what Dave shared is that we get to have a wider knowledge or wider perspective about, like for example, what seems to be like the counterpart of this. So you get to think about it. So that's good. It raises your awareness and your curiosity to find out the relationship of different words that relate with the definite relationships that we already know of the words that we know. Okay, that's good. Okay, let's go to the next part. What is it? Okay, in the previous activities we made in the previous activity you made a good use of your skill in recognizing a relationship between words. Having a skill in recognizing relationship of words allows you to build your interest and readiness for reading. Do you know that finding more about analogy or improving your skill in analogy allows you people to make connections of the things you have learned and the things you are to learn. My nieces and nephew are are at my back, but don't be just ignore them, okay? This skill allows you to make connections of the things that you have learned and the things and the things and the thing and the things you learn, which makes learning more meaningful in your part. Let us discuss this topic for us to have a better understanding of the skill. Why is there like a slash here and other things? They should like be able to edit this. I assured that this was edited on my end. Okay. Analogy. An analogy refers to a comparison between two things. The comparison is used to determine the relationship between these two different things. For example, we may have an analogy. Bark is to dog as meow is to cat. So a dog barks and a cat meows. This is an example of an analogy which is read as bark is to dog as meow is to cat, like what I said a while ago. And that's the way how we read this pair or this set, okay? Bark is to dog as meow is to cat. That's the way how we should read it, people. Okay. Here, you would like to express that if a dog barks, the cat meows. This refers to the sound being produced by these two different animals. Performing an analogy would allow you to demonstrate a higher order thinking skill. So it allows you to think deeper and allows you to widen your vocabulary. There are different types of analogies, and it's good for you to be aware about each of these, since this would allow you to see a relationship between two objects better. Look at this one. Synonym to antonym, like hot is to cold, part to whole. So meaning a part of a whole. So core is to apple. Okay. Function to thing, cook is to stove. We use the stove for cooking. Okay. We need to be clear about it. Characteristic to thing. So it's slippery when you're on ice. Okay. Have you tried to ski or have you tried to ice skate? So if you were able to do so, it's very slippery and there would be a lot of times, especially if you're not used to it, that you would fall. Okay? Product to thing. Milk is to cow because we get the milk from the cow. Okay? Well, it's one source of milk, but there are other sources of milk as well, like the soy, for example. Look at this analogy with a missing word. Car is to tire. Chair is to what? If car, yeah, so what do you think should be the answer? In solving this, you need to first identify the relationship between the car and the tire. Here, you may state that a car stands with its wheels, right? For this relationship, you may apply this for the following pair with the missing word. You need to think how does a chair stand, which is through its legs. So the answer for this one would be chair is to legs. Okay? Thus, you may have legs as the word that would complete this analogy, this set of analogy, this one. Okay. Here are the following examples of an analogy with an explanation for each. On is to up, start is to end. So what is the relationship of that? This analogy features opposites. What is IE again?
It is.
Who okay, very good. It is, but in English it means what?
That is.
Okay, very good. That is the opposite of on is off. Very good. While where did you learn that, Dave Russell? The IE.
I just read it somewhere, sir.
Okay, very good. I thought you watched our video about it. Okay. A way to promote our channel. Okay. Yeah, teacher JM ESL to promote the channel. You can visit that. Okay. Let's go to the next part. While the opposite of start is end, you may notice as well that the part of speech is maintained. In this example, the words are in verb or in an action form. Okay. Let me know if you have questions, people. Okay? You don't have questions by now, right? Okay. We use it for seeing. Ear, we use it for hearing. This analogy features function, the function of the eye and the function of the ear. That is, the function of the eye is for sight or seeing, while the function of the ear is for hearing. Notice as well that the part of speech is maintained on the second pair, whereas the first word is a noun while the second word is a verb. Look at this one. I is noun, see is verb. We also apply that part of speech, or we observe that part of speech as well for the following pair. Here is noun and here is verb. So it's good for us to also be aware about the different parts of speech. Let's go to the next part, okay? Maintained on the second pair, okay. Whereas the first, okay. Word wool is to sheep, as egg is to chicken. So we get the wool from the sheep, we get the egg from the chicken. This analogy features the product to origin. So the origin of the wool is sheep, the origin of the egg is chicken. That is, the products produced by a sheep and a chicken. What's more, activity number 1. Write the number of the type of analogy featured for each item. After, write the letter of the word that is needed to complete this analogy. Use the blank spaces provided for your answer. Okay, here are the types of analogy. And you need to identify which relates to each number. Are we good with that? Let's start. Okay. Number 1. Kitchen is to house, as keyboard is to what? What's the answer? People.
Computer.
Keyboard is to computer. But what is the answer here for the type of analogy? We also need to identify the type of analogy.
Or to whole. Whole.
Okay,
Part
very
2.
good. Kitchen is a part of a house, while keyboard is part of a computer. Very good. Number two, sad is to happy as boring is to what?
Exciting.
Boring, okay. Boring is to exciting. So what do you think is the type of analogy that we have for that, people?
Synonym to antonym.
Synonym to antonym, very good. So sad is to happy. Why is it synonym to antonym? Sad is to happy. Okay, sad and boring are, wait, can you help me? Why is it synonym to antonym? Ah, yeah. Sad, antonyms basically, right? Sad is to happy. It's they have they have a contrasting relationship. Boring and exciting also also have a contrasting. Boring and exciting also has a contrasting relationship. They stand as one unit. Okay. We need to be particular with our SBAs, people. Subject verb agreement rules. Okay. Number three, we use the eye for seeing and we use the ear for what, people?
Here.
Hearing. Okay. So what do you think is is the answer for the type of analogy?
Object to function.
Very good. Object to function, the function of the eye and the ear. Saw, cut, saw is to cut as hammer is to what? What's the answer here first?
Letter B.
Very good, per pounding, right? So we use the saw for cutting. We use the hammer for pounding. What's the type of analogy for that?
Object to function.
A very good object of function as well. Number five, tomatoes is to garden as tuna is to what? So what do you think is the relationship of tomatoes and garden, and what do you think is the answer for number five?
Ocean.
Okay, ocean. Okay, very good. We get the tomatoes from the garden, we get the tuna from the ocean, right? Okay. Tuna from the ocean, I think I assure that. Tuna from the ocean. Because there's salt water and fresh water, right? Tuna from the ocean. So tuna species are found throughout the world's oceans. That's correct, okay? We really need to be particular because there are like certain species from the salt water, certain species from the fresh water, and we really need to be particular to it. It's a good thing that I took note of it while I wrote this, okay? Or when I wrote this, okay? To be really specific or to be really definite about it. Activity number two, write the appropriate letter, the type of analogy for each item below. Ah, number one, happy, joyful, sad, depressed. What do you think is the answer here?
Synonyms.
Okay, synonyms, very good. Happy and joyful are synonymous. Sad and depressed are also synonymous. Number two, fly an airplane, drive. Fly is to airplane as drive is to car. We need to read it the way how it should be read, okay? What do you think is the relationship here?
Um,
Letter B.
Letter B, action or object. Right? Okay. This is the action. What does an airplane do? It flies, right? What does a car do? I mean, we use the car for driving. We use the plane for flying, right? That's as simple as that. Okay, number three. Poet is to poem as baker is to pie. What's the relationship?
Letter
Letter
D.
D.
Worker.
Letter
Letter D.
D, product worker. So the product is the poem, while the worker is the poet. The product is the pie, the worker is the baker. How about for number four? Tropical, hot, polar, cold. What do you think is the answer?
I
Letter
think it's
A.
Characteristic.
characteristics.
Characteristic.
Characteristic, very good. If a country is tropical, it means it's hot. If a country is polar, it means it's cold. Very good. Okay? Very good. I get to think it's like synonyms, and then I get to think by now, yeah, it seems to be like more of a characteristic. Aspin is to dog, as salmon is to fish. What do you think is the relationship of this of this one?
Types.
Type or yeah, type. So aspin is like a type of a dog, while salmon is a type of a fish, or a kind of a dog, or and salmon is a kind of a fish, and we pronounce this as salmon. right? Okay. We should like read L silently. I mean, not really. We should not read L, or we should not pronounce L. It's a silent L. So salmon. What what I have learned, or what have I learned? List down at least one pair of analogy for each type of analogies below. You may refer to the samples presented for this activity. So these are the examples. Allow me to read. Part to whole, finger is to hand as toe is to foot. Product to thing, milk is to cow as wool is to sheep. Characteristic, red is to apple, blue as blue is the sky. Synonym, pretty is to cute as mad is to inky. And function to think, stove is to cook as ice is to freeze. Now for this part, you need to be the one to answer for that. And I will give you 5 minutes for such. But that's just like for the students, for the Makati Public High School students who will watch the session, okay? For the students who are joining now, at least you get to have an idea about the different types of analogy, right? Okay, so let's proceed here. What I can do. Identify the relationship of the following analogies below. This may be challenging. After, supply another pair of analogy that shares the same relationship for each item. You may refer to the example provided as your guide. Here, battery and flashlight. What's the relationship of that? Of battery and flashlight?
Part
Battery
to
powers
whole.
a flashlight.
Batter- a flashlight uses a battery. So, what's the relationship of that? We get to find out the relationship now. So, a flashlight uses a battery. What pair can you give here? Who can give a pair for that?
Gasoline is to vehicle.
Gasoline is to
Vehicle.
bacon.
Vehicle.
Can you spell that out? I don't know that.
Vehicles or vehicle.
Vehicle. Like,
Vehicle.
Sasakyan.
Vehicle. Vehicle.
can you spell that out? I don't know that word. Sorry.
The
Sasakyan,
VEHI.
sir. Sasakyan.
Vehicle.
Yes, vehicle.
How do you pronounce it, Joffrey?
VEHICLE.
But how do you pronounce it?
VEH.
No, I mean how. Don't spell it out. Pronounce it.
I said vehicle, but
Ah,
should be
should it be red? Vehicle.
vehicle.
Okay, good. Okay. Thank you for that. Oh, that's a good sample. Number 2. A teacher works in a school. So can you give a sample for that? Whoever can answer, can answer.
A doctor works at a hospital.
Very good. A doctor works in a hospital. Number 3. Guadalupe is part of Makati City. So can you give a sample of that? This is like one of the barangays of Makati City. Can you give a sample of that? In your place, right? You can give a sample. Like one of the barangays of your municipality or city. Can you give us can, can you give a sample of that?
Wait.
Tambo is to Parañaque.
So Tambo is a barangay, right?
Yes.
Okay. Let's go to number 4. There's a dog. Okay. Good. Okay. Let's go to number 4. Knife. We use it for cutting. And can you give a sample for this one? Knife is to what?
Glue is to mending.
Again? Sorry.
Glue is to mending.
Mending is like sticking things. What does mending mean? So, mending definition. Mending, things to be repaired by sewing or darning. Oh, what is darning? So, what do you mean by mending? To make something broken, worn, torn, or otherwise damaged whole, sound, or usable by repairing. So it's like by repairing the glue. Okay, thank you for that, Joffrey. How about camel? Camel, desert. Yeah, because desert is different. Camel, desert. So a camel stays in a desert, right? Or you see the camel in a desert. Can you give a sample for that? Another sample with the same relationship.
Shark is the ocean.
What?
Shark is the ocean.
Oh, very good. Shark stays in an ocean. Shark stays ocean. We need to be sure. Eh. Uh, Does do sharks stay in an ocean or in oceans, people? Who are those people who are into who are into science? Sharks stay in oceans ba? People, can you help me to clarify? Ah, yeah. Despite several high-profile shark attacks in the Atlantic Ocean, I see in the web. Okay, yeah. We need to be certain about the information that we're sharing. Okay, very good for number 5. Let's go with assessment. This is the last part of this session. Okay, here they are supposed to answer this one. Okay, so students, please answer this one. Okay. But I think for the students who are joining now in the session, you can just watch it. Maybe as I upload on YouTube, you can answer if you would like to answer. Okay? So leap. I'll just read, or I do not no longer need to read, I think. I'll just flash this. This is for the evaluation to find, for the assessment or the evaluation for me to find out if you understood the session. Okay? So you can take a look at it. As I upload it on YouTube, you can answer. And I can give you or comment to you the score. Really, I would do that. Okay. So that's the first 10 items. And then there's an additional activity. What's the additional activity? It should be additional activity only, right? What do you think is right? Should be that one, right? What do you think is the importance of studying about analogy in relation with reading? And how do you think this helps you to widen your vocabulary? Or who would like to answer this one? What do you think is the importance of about studying analogy in relation with reading? And how do you think an analogy or your knowledge with analogy would help you to widen your vocabulary or would help you with reading? Would like to answer, people? Yeah, share your thoughts. It doesn't really need to be like perfect, like
David,
100. Yes, Dave.
so, importance of analogy in studying reading. Analogies, studying analogies can help us in reading in a way that it helps us understand what we are reading much easier. Because if we study about analogy, it makes us better in understanding relationships and patterns between things.
Yeah, that's really the point of the discussion. You would be able to see the relationship of what you're reading, of the objects or of the ideas. You would be able to see those relationships, and you can relate it with what you already know and what you are to learn, and that allows you to have a wider or a that allows you to have a deeper understanding of what you read, right? And in a way, because of knowing about the counterparts of things, it allows you to easily remember the words that you're just encountering, which allows you for these words to mark more in your mind and that you would not be able to forget it. And so you would have an improved vocabulary in the process. Okay. Thank you for that, Dave Russell. Okay, so ah, this is a part for the answer key. Okay. So shall we go back with the crossword puzzle as the last part? Because we already encountered the terms and then we'll just try to to po- to have that folded, right? Because we opened that and you should be able to answer it. So let's help together again. Two down refers to one word that receives an act, object, object, refers to an event. Four down. What refers to an event?
Action,
Action. Very good, action. Similar relationship, 5 down. Synonyms, synonyms. I think synonyms, right? If you have other answers, let me know. 7, division of a whole. Division of a whole, P-A-R-T, part. Follows a cause, 8 down. Effect, E-F-F-E-C-T. 10 refers to a purpose.
objective,
It's not enough. Objective. What is 9 across? Opposite relationship. Contrast. Cont. This is T. This can be T. So 10 down refers to a purpose. We can see, we can look at the answers. Dito correction. Okay. Let's see the answer. 10 down. Where's the assessment that I have? Wait, this is not that one, right? What's the title of that one?
What's in atoms?
What's in? Characteristic. Let's check if it's that one. 10. 10 is characteristic. It's difficult, right? Where's that? Okay, there. 10 is characteristic. Oh, this should be adjusted. Okay. So yeah, at least we get to find out. Okay. Where something can be found. Oh, basically, this is the answer. Okay. For people, for the reference of everyone as well who would access the video. It's what's in, right? One is antonyms, two is synonyms, three is effect. Oh, we can click it and then it flips. Okay. So part, location, action, object, performer, function, and characteristics. How can number 10 be characteristics if there are only few boxes? Is it enough? CHARASTR because they edited it and we it needs to be updated. I need to revise this within the day. Okay, so thank you for attending the session. So today we discuss about analogy, and that's I what I wrote for the module for the Department of Education within here in Makati City because I am teaching in a certain public high school here in Makati, Bangkal High School in particular. So I would like to hear your thoughts about it. I would just like call about three people. At this point of time, you can maybe speak in Tagalog or preferably in English, about your thoughts about the session. And if ever you have questions, you can raise it as well. Let's start with Joffrey.
This lesson on analogies helps me clarify what relationships can be used when y- when when you encounter a question regarding analogy. For example, in an exam, you encounter an analogy. You could think of what relationship it has. Like, is it product is to person, synonym to antonym, object to function, and etc.
And what can you say about the very historical session that we have now, wherein in the entire mostly in the entirety of the time or the session, I spoke in English. Because this is the way how I speak really in a class in
Mm.
English. If I handle a class, so what can you say or what are your thoughts about it?
Um, so is it on teaching with English? Thoughts on what
Yes, I'm
teach?
teaching English in a public high school. So what's your thought
Okay. I think personally, in my case, because
compared
my
with using because in our other
yeah.
sessions, Joffrey, we're using Filipino. So
Mm-mm.
compare how it looks like.
I think since we use English, I think the pace of learning is slower compared to when we use Filipino language. But it just takes a fair bit of adjustment, and it's good to also purely speak in English.
Okay, thank you for that, Joffrey. And by the way, for the permission as well for of everyone, this session would be I would upload the session for the access of public school students of Makati City. And they would really watch this, okay? So really nice, right? And this is the first of the videos that they would watch, by the way, because this is the first module of Unit 1 that they would access by the first school. It's October 5 that school year would start, right? So we're preparing things. And this one that I am making as part of the preparation. As you all know, I started the teacher JMESL for the preparation for the classes actually. But it's a good thing that we're on our 4.5K mark now, right? Way before the school year starts. Okay, thank you for that, Joffrey. Dave, what are your thoughts about it? About the session?
About the sessions or
And about the topic as well.
and
Everything,
sige,
yeah.
sir. First about the topic, the thing that stood out to me sir, is about the types of relationships that appear in analogies, sir. As what Geoffrey stated earlier, it shed some light to me of about what kinds of relationship do appear in analogies. So for me now, so it's a little bit better. It's a little bit easier in for me to figure out what relationships do things do that appear in analogy have.
Okay. How about for the session? Because Dave used to attend sessions as well in where we use Filipino for teaching English. So, which do you think you like more? People speaking in English as you learn English, or people speaking in Filipino, like as you learn English? So, which do you prefer personally?
I
I
don't
just would
have
like to find out.
I don't have, sir, some a preference personally, because I think teaching along teaching using Filipino is better objective for me objectively, since if people can relate what they're if and because if we're speaking in Filipino, most can relate pretty easily, so learning is faster and I think better and more efficient. But in a way, speaking in English helps us build our communication skills better, and our skills in English better.
That's actually a school of thought in teaching English. So far, with the Department of Education, we are expected to speak in pure and straight English when we handle our classes, well, by practice and of what is expected among us. However, yeah, so I would not share much about it, but yeah, we're expected to speak in English. But yeah, the purpose behind that is that if you get to be exposed more in English, you get to learn more or acquire the language easier because you're exposed to it and you have chances to practice English. Let's call one person to wrap the session, okay, as well. And there seems to be like no one who has a camera apart from Dave and Joffrey. April, if you can share Francine, Julie, or Christine, who can share among you guys? Like Francine, Julie Macasa, Christine Laroya, who can speak, at least one among you guys, or April. I assume they have a camera at least or a microphone to share something about the session. There seems to be like none. Okay, so thank you for attending the session. That's our session for today where we discussed about analogy and different types of analogy. The following session that we'll have for teacher JMESL would be Mondays we are 5 to 6, and then Saturdays and Sundays we are 4 to 5 p.m. So that would be next Saturday for our next session, wherein we will be continuing on the part 2 of the confusing pairs. But if ever there would be special sessions like this one, special segment of teaching analogy, I would let you know beforehand through the group chats that we have. Okay, thank you for attending the session and goodbye everyone. Everybody. Okay. Thank you for watching my videos. Please don't forget to subscribe our channel by clicking the subscribe button below. Thank you.